So es bueno? Okay.
Yes. See.
Be one of those going. All right, Kaili Park. Well, this is the first we've really had a chance to talk. I'm pretty excited for this interview.
Yeah. Outside of the Animal Crossing group chat.
The Animal Crossing group chat. I have a whole new family I didn't know before. I've actually been secretly following your artwork, though, for quite a while, just because I know you've been working at it, I guess, since high school, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
But you've been doing some con stuff here and there. I've seen some of that stuff. And then just through various friends, seeing little projects you've worked on. When did you get started with art? What was your start with all that?
I didn't really have a start, to be honest. Like, I always liked drawing ever since I was a kid. Like, and my family always like encouraged me and like made sure I had everything I wanted to draw, and which wasn't much, just like pencils and paper. But yeah, ever since I was a little kid, I've been like obsessed with animals mostly. And that has never really gone away. Like I would just sit, I had these like animal encyclopedias, and I would just sit and like draw from them like constantly. And yeah, I would just like, draw, fill up a page, flip to the next one. And I would just do that for hours. Like, I wish I could still do that.
Did as far as school, did you go to an art school then? Or I know there's like first start programs that kind of head that direction. Did you go that route or?
No, I went to a normal, my mom was a teacher in the same school district I went into. So she kept me in there. But I had a really good art teacher in elementary school, and all of my teachers, who I still know a lot of them to this day because my mom works with them, they were always really good about encouraging me in like, in elementary school when they would do the art projects. I never had really anyone tell me you can't do this or like, don't keep doing this, which was really good. I feel fortunate.
You should be a soccer player.
Yeah, no one was saying that.
So then how did you transition that into like your work or into other things after schooling?
I just kept doing it. Like I remember in high school, I was that was probably the biggest like development with art for me, because I was doing it a lot. Like, I would do it to not do homework and things I was supposed to be doing. And anytime I had a lot of responsibilities like homework, I would be the most inspired to draw. And I was also just starting to be on the internet, and like I was on DeviantArt and like all these, like seeing all these other things going on that I had never had any exposure to before. And that was really inspiring too. And it kind of unlocked like a whole other like realm of like things I could do. And that's when I really started being interested in like illustration. And because I was seeing a lot of like, internet early 2000s was a lot of anime, which I never really was that into anime, but I was into a lot of artists that were really into anime.
Yeah, it inspired a lot of amazing artists.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so that definitely had an influence. But after high school, I focused through later high school and college. I actually went into the sciences. I wanted to be a marine biologist, and that turned into fisheries biology. But I always held on to art. And later on, I did a science illustration certificate program for a year. And that kind of turned me on to like the professional side of doing all this stuff. So
I know a lot of your artwork kind of goes towards the tribal route. What brought that inspiration into it?
I'm not really sure. I've always really I'm really happy you noticed that, because I always like found indigenous cultures really fascinating. And I think it is more of a subconscious thing that comes out of my art. There were times it is more conscious, but I really like, it kind of goes along with the nature stuff. Like, I like cultures that are still really in touch with nature. And especially ones that are still around today, like Mongolian people or Arctic people like Inuit and Chukchi, and even like Northern Scandinavian, like Sami people, and these people who are able to like hold on to their culture. I find that really inspiring. And all the animals that are in those areas, I have a particular affinity to as well. So it kind of all ties together.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Is any of it in your personal heritage or?
I'm not sure, but I'm half Korean, like full.
Right.
And then my mom's side is the Johansons. They are Norwegian.
Right.
I'm not quite sure like what area, but I know Harald, my great grandpa, was from like northern Norway, like way the heck up there, like fishing little
Right.
village. And I wonder if there might be a little Sami in there.
That'd be
but
cool.
yeah, that might be it. But and then my mom's dad's side, he's a mix of like a ton of stuff. So who
Right.
knows?
But you don't go towards as much of the Korean. It almost seems like, well,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know quite as like I know very much the social part of Korean culture because of my family.
Right. Huge into J-pop.
Right. Yeah, not so much. Yeah, but I know it's beautiful in Korea and that they really appreciate like gardens and that their culture is really old. But outside of that, I don't know a terrible lot of it. My grandma moved here when my dad was very young, so he doesn't really have any of that culture in him.
Gotcha. So as far as your work, you see a lot of fish in your posts and stuff like that. What is what just a little brief, what do you do for actual everyday living?
Yeah, my day job is I'm a spawning ground surveyor for Fish and Wildlife. So I basically go outside and count salmon in the rivers, and that that data goes into predicting how many of the offspring of those salmon will come back for people to fish on in the Puget Sound.
Right.
And that number will help them set regulations and like how many fish people can catch in that subsequent years.
Gotcha. You're not doing as much of the drawing and stuff like that for your actual job then?
Not a lot, but actually during quarantine I was able to, because we were supposed to work from home and I'm a field worker. I'm like, I ran out of stuff to do. So I just started emailing a ton of people in the department. Like, I will draw anything for you. I just want to use, like, I don't want to just be sitting around reading articles.
Yeah. I think we all hit that point at something like, I need to do something. That's how I started this podcast, is because I needed to do something.
That's awesome.
And restaurant work wasn't, a big thing in the middle of the Rona.
Oh yeah. Where do you work?
I was working as a restaurant manager right down in the convention center area. So with no conventions going on, there was no need for me.
Yeah, man. Emerald City I felt like almost happened. They canceled it like really a week before. Yeah. I was super bummed. Me and Ali Espinosa had costumes ready to go, and we were so excited. We were taking our friend Susie and Mariah and Courtney, who had never been before, and then nope.
Yeah. It was really on the fence too, because it was right around that time everything was shutting down. So
we were like, should we go? And then people were dropping out. And then we were like, let's just be really careful. And we don't even have to stay that long. We'll stay for like 2 hours. And then, and then they put the block on it.
So you've been doing cosplay for quite a few years.
A little bit.
What was your costume this year?
It was going to be Brea from the Dark Crystal Netflix series. Yeah, Ali wanted to be Deet, and then I was like, I love doing group costumes so much. So I was like, I'll be Brea. And it was a lot of fun. But I'm glad I made it, and I'll get to wear it someday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little bit of a bummer because we both worked really hard on our
Yeah, I only saw a
costumes.
couple little shots here and there of it, but it looked like you definitely had some time spent onto it.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. Well, I have with my job, I have a 2 month off seasons and
Okay.
it's January, February. So that's usually when I'll work on a costume for Comic Con in March. So it's perfect.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
It's the only reason I have time to do it.
Yeah, I've tend to gone towards pretty simple costumes. Anything that involves a t-shirt and or me. Pretty much my I mean, don't get me wrong, I make a mean Johnny Bravo, but
That's awesome.
it doesn't require much more than a t-shirt and a pair of jeans and bleaching your hair blonde.
Did you do that?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. That's awesome. I love it.
Um,
That's see, you got to be comfortable though. You
yeah.
can't stay all day if you're not comfortable.
Yeah, well that's part of it is that I went with a friend one time and they went as a tribble. And so they had
Oh
a
no.
huge like fur costume that they had to try to, maneuver around in through the whole
Oh,
day. And yeah, it was a bit toasty for them.
yeah, I can imagine. Goodness gracious.
So what would
That's
you
cool.
say is some of your lessons you've learned along the way as far as well actually let's rewind that a little bit. When we're talking about cons, what got you into putting your stuff out there for other people to see it? Or
I opened an Etsy shop like a long time ago just to do like little jewelry and stuff, and it did okay. But then I'm trying to think when I got. Oh, you know what it was? I worked for a family friend of ours who did soap and candles, and
okay,
I would help her at farmers markets, and then she would let me put out some of my art on display to
nice.
sell like little prints and things, and then that
That
really
Ballard Art
eased me
Market.
into it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Ballard Art Market, and then a few other little things, and yeah, it was a really nice way to get into it. And then I tried other little things, like there was the Issaquah Art Walk, and then a few like my mom's school puts on this little holiday bazaar every year, and I did that, and they let me do it for free, and I actually did really well. I was like, I made more money than I ever thought I would, and I was like, okay, I think I can take this to the next level. And then I did Jet City Comic Show.
Right.
That might have been like 4 years ago that I first did that. And then from there, I did Geek Girl Con as well, and then tried Rose City one year. But yeah, I've been going back to Jet City and Geek Girl every year, and I
Nice.
really like those shows.
Yeah, it's nice seeing this area because I mean Emerald City is amazing and but it's almost gotten too big.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's obviously no San Diego yet, but it's I think last I heard it was on par with New York as
Yeah,
far as size.
oh wow. I heard, which was like a couple years ago, it
Or
was
was
like
supposed to be.
third. Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe they were trying to get there this year. Yeah, I heard it was third.
Yeah.
Seattle, New York, and then
Yeah.
San Diego. That's crazy.
It'll be interesting to see what happens next year.
Yeah, I know.
Or let's just say 2 years from now.
I know. Yeah, hopefully they do all right. They keep their head above water.
Well, they've been doing a lot of the online mini shows too.
Oh
And
yeah.
but the sad thing is that's all seems to be bigger artists and stuff like that. It doesn't seem like it's geared as much towards, you know, small stuff. I'm not saying you're
Yeah.
small stuff by any means, but you're not on par with, let's say, Funko or, you know,
Exactly. Yeah. That's my favorite part of cons is like going to the artist alley and
yeah,
just getting lost, and you'll like see someone drew your favorite character like
right.
way away,
Yeah.
and then you run over there and then you go and like have an awesome conversation with them and get some stuff, and that's the best.
Yeah. I in one of my moves, I had an amazing print that I just loved that somebody did of a Chewbacca. I have a little bit of a Chewbacca thing. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen the collection on Instagram.
I can't find the print anywhere, and
Oh man.
it's frustrating because I know I wouldn't have just thrown it out. So I know I have it somewhere, but where has completely dumbfounded me at this point.
Oh no.
So
That's
last year I
great.
like looked all over to see if I could find the same artist again, just to get another copy of it, or see if he had something. And I couldn't find him and or my print. So that's where we're at for next year. We're seeking out a.
All right. You can give me a description and I'll look for you
All
as
right.
well.
So I know the last time did you share a booth with somebody, or did you go for a
uh,
full booth?
Last year I did my own booth, but in years past I've shared it with Jaden Rosenall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was always really fun. He was trying it out too, and
Yeah.
we were both kind of experimenting, and it was a lot of fun. I miss having a partner,
Yeah.
because sometimes I'm sitting there alone for like 2 or 3 days, and that can be like, I mean, I have customers, but like having someone to chat with, like kind of have a continuous conversation through the day with is really nice. Yeah. But Ali Espinosa helped me at Geek Girl Con last year, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, not much has changed really for me, other than not being able to do my few cons a year, which I miss. But it was also nice to have a break.
Yeah, it's a lot of not nervousness necessarily, but it's a lot of work getting ready for a con.
It is, and I usually don't have any help, so it's a lot, and a lot of mental, not only getting everything ready, but like the social part of it, and then
is stuff going to get there on time?
Always going to go
if you're
wrong.
buying products, if you're having products made, I should say.
Exactly.
What is the average time for pin turnaround as far as for when you're ordering it?
Let's see. The last batch I got, I put the design in August, and I just got it like this week. But sometimes they're faster. Right now, obviously, there's a lot of COVID delays because the factories will have minimal staff. But yeah, I'd say anywhere from like a month to 4 months even. And it also depends on how long your consultation process goes for, which for me, sometimes depending on the complexity of the pin, it can be kind of long.
How many different colors, or what's like well, you said you had a $20 pin. What was the difference in that from the $10 one as far as for complexity?
It has a chain on it. Here, I have it right here. Here's my. It's I actually did a Kickstarter for this one. It's a little dog mesher and a dog, and there's a chain going between. So it's like 2 pins. That's why it's 20. And then this is the one I most recently ordered. They're actually not on Etsy yet, but that's
get on it. I'm gonna have a flood of people.
I know. I know. I've been waiting for the rain to stop, because I take my picture. I don't have like a photo setup, so I have to take it like outside and like a good lighting. And yeah, I've been waiting for it to stop being so cloudy and rainy.
Yeah, you need to. That's what you need to do, is you need to get your brother into photography, so you always have somebody that can,
No, yeah, he actually is into photography. He does more like he does mountain biking, so he likes to do videography of mountain biking. But he's gotten some really good pictures of animals that I've used for my art. In the past. So I hope he continues doing that, because he is much more technical than I am. So he's able to understand the camera, the DSLR stuff better.
Nice. What would you say as far as the cost versus enjoyment for that is for you, as far as your artwork?
For doing booths or
booths
just art in general?
Well, art in general.
Oh, okay. For art in general, just like the stuff I do for fun, I don't really care what I use. Like a lot of stuff I have is hand-me-downs, or like people just give it to me because like they're like, I wanted to try this, but it didn't work out. Here, I know you do art. And that's like my favorite thing, because I don't want to have the pressure of knowing how much something is. Like I inherited some Daniel Smith watercolors from a friend's grandma, and I know those are really expensive. I almost don't want to know how much they are, because it will like intimidate me out of using them. So I I prefer almost to use like cheaper materials.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that was kind of a tangent, but low cost, high reward for me,
Yeah.
definitely.
I don't think I've paid for a brush in quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
People just randomly give me handfuls of brushes. I'm like, okay.
It's the best, that crab can I have. That my uncle just gave that to me. He was like, "Here, my friend was selling this at a garage sale. He told me to give it to you," and it was awesome.
Can't beat free. That's
no. Just let other people advertise for you that you're an artist, and
that's what I'm trying to do right now as we speak.
Perfect.
All 73 of us, we're going to be. So you said you had an Etsy store for a while. Are you still keeping up with that, or?
Yeah. It's actually it's still going strong. I've been slowly switching over to merchandise. I still have a lot of art prints on there, but I try to only do art prints of my nicer pieces, which
Gotcha.
didn't really make a lot of this year, but I have been focusing on doing pins and some apparel, and that's been a lot of fun.
The pin market is an interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a good price point too. I mean, $10 is, I don't know what you sell yours for. You could be maybe $20.
Yeah,
we'll say
$10. I have one $20 pin, but it's fancy.
But $10 is I can justify that. I can grab 2 or 3 of those mentality. Whereas,
for sure.
You see some of these Gleishi prints or Gleishi or whatever you want to call it, and they're like, oh, that's $300. I have to think about that and put that somewhere that, it matters.
Yeah, that's something you have to think about for a while, not just passing by at a con. And,
right, exactly.
No matter how good it is or how amazing it is.
Yeah. Have you ever had somebody make an image for you? You can go through artists and hey, this is my favorite character. Could you draw them for me?
Yeah, I've I don't know if I've ever done it in person, but I've
commissioned a piece.
Yeah, I've done a couple. I've had people do commissions for me at cons. I usually just have them draw my dogs, and it's usually an artist that I've already been following, and I'll be like, "Oh, I love your stuff," or I'll contact. Some artists have you contact them before the con starts, if you follow them on social media. I've done that before. My dogs are pretty much always my who I have them draw.
Well, I mean, they're pretty much the stars of your Instagram feed too.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you had both those dogs for quite a while, or?
Chell, the older one, is 14, and I've had her since I was 12.
Oh, okay.
So long time. And then her brother passed away a couple years ago. And then, so I had them both for a long time. And then the puppy, Canute, is 1.5 years old.
Okay.
I just got him
nice.
More recently.
Are they able to go to work with you, or?
If I have an office day, yes, or pre-COVID, they would sit under my desk. If I'm on certain days, there are days where I do a creel, where I go and interview fishermen on the river. Gotcha. I just drive around all day, and they come with me sometimes for that because they just sit in the car.
Right.
But, I want to take Newt one of these days because the farm I got him from is actually one of the starting points for one of my surveys. That's nice. How I met those people and found out they were having puppies. And I want to take him to that place, and then they can see how he's doing. And then I'm going to take him on the survey with me and see how he does. He hates swimming, but he will do it if he has to. So I think it'll be good for him.
Well, you're not. I mean, I guess. Well, you're hip deep, I guess, here and there, but you're not in super deep water.
He'll have to cross the river, but for the most part, he can walk on the shore.
Yeah. As far as seems like a lot of your newer stuff has gotten more into the fantasy, almost elvish, I would say, in a way. Is that something that was inspired by anything in particular, or just needed some new inspiration?
Big inspiration was the new Dark Crystal series on Netflix. Yeah. I'm glad you noticed that, by the way. I feel like that stuff doesn't do as well as because obviously it's more personal than than my animal drawings and things, but I don't really care anymore. There was a time where I cared about numbers on Instagram related to my business, but I've been at like 1,000 to 2,000 for a while. And most of those are people I know,
Right.
or, you know, people I've met at cons and things like that, which is really good because my my user retention is really high because it's, you know, people are, you know, I have a really high like commenting and liking ratio, which is good. Anyway, but
well, no, but it says that they're in it for you, not just because they happen across and like everything that they ever go across.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It means
but
something.
Yeah, the fantasy stuff, yeah, definitely inspired. Like I've watched the Dark Crystal, the new, I love the Dark Crystal, the original old movie. And like, I really got into fantasy when my dad introduced me to Lord of the Rings when I was in like high school. And I just kind of slowly have been
the traditional Korean series of Lord of the Rings.
That's a coming of age ceremony in Korea, actually. Yeah, really, the Lord of the Rings. but yeah, I love the escapism of it, and like so yeah, the new Dark Crystal series, just like the visuals and everything, like that's exactly the kind of thing that I love, is like just the right flavor of like whimsical and weird and imagination and like all these cool things coming together. And that's something that I've kind of been playing with my art.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I was a huge Jim Henson person. So, fan? Yeah, I guess fan's the better word.
Yeah. You were a puppet?
I was a puppet. So my whole life has been, you know, involved with his creations and his stories. And so Dark Crystal is obviously, as far as growing up there with, you know, almost with Star Wars. It's funny, there's a little bit of a Labyrinth / Dark Crystal, like not beef, but there's people are on this one side or the other side as far as what is, you know, what was the cooler of the two movies.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I think, I mean, obviously, you know, one does have a famous rock star in it, the other one just has moguls, but I think I've always been more on the Dark Crystal side.
You chose correctly.
Yeah.
I love Labyrinth, but I don't know, Dark Crystal is more unique, I think.
Well, and I think that's even now I've noticed with a lot of people, when they quote unquote get out of, you know, childhood and like, oh, I don't watch cartoon stuff anymore and stuff like that, I think that the Dark Crystal is always kind of stuck with the cartoon aspect of things, like mentally. And it seems like Labyrinth is like, well, you know, that's real people, so this is, you know,
there are two humans and a baby in this one, so it's that's in a completely different category.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I've always kind of just stuck on the cartoon side of things.
Same.
What other influences other than Dark Crystal did you have as far as art wise growing up? Did you have anyone other than your teachers, or anybody else in your family artistic?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, for sure, my grandma. So my mom's mom, my Norwegian grandma, she was a huge influence. Like she used to watch me a lot, and she would have me just do art projects all the time. Oh, nice. And like she was really into sumi painting. Oh, so she had me do. I actually have one that I pulled out earlier. I don't know what this is, but I did it in sumi ink. Nice. It's like I have no clue. It could be upside down.
Yeah.
It might be a jellyfish. I don't know. Or maybe it's a smile. But yeah.
It works.
She always had me doing projects like that. And
nice.
Like really encouraged me to keep drawing. And yeah, it was, I don't know if I would be as into it if it wasn't for her. And then, other than that, just like books, like illustrations really were influential. Like, I loved Bill Peet. I had a lot of Bill Peet books. his pencil work is like just so, I loved that like sketchy style.
Gotcha.
And I never like had any Rudyard Kipling books, but I had this dog encyclopedia and had a chapter on like Rudyard Kipling's dog drawings. And it was kind of the same kind of sketchy style.
Right.
And that was really influential to me early on. And just a lot of picture books in general, because my mom is an elementary school teacher, so we never had a shortage of those. And she would kind of like be like, okay, these are the good ones. You're going to read these. Don't read Captain Underpants and all those other ones.
You're not going to get much artistically out of Captain Underpants. That's true.
No, it did help my sense of humor, though. That's
good. That's good. Is anyone else in your direct family? Like, I know I've met your brother, like, I think one time randomly, but is he artistic as well? Or?
I would say he is, but he doesn't nurture it. Gotcha. He will once in a blue moon, like strike up inspiration and just like draw something. And it's always really cool. Like he has a good eye, but he's also really, really a perfectionist when it comes to that stuff. Yeah. So he'll be happy with it, but not enough to keep him going. Gotcha. But he's been doing some music stuff and things like that. So he still has creative outlets, but I kind of wish he would draw a little more.
So what is your favorite material to use?
I don't know. It's kind of shifts a little bit, but watercolor has been my go-to for a long time. Watercolor and gouache, but I kind of use gouache like watercolor, so I kind of put them in the same category. But recently I've been doing like these acrylic paintings, like really direct painting, wet on wet, like just trying to be really loose, because with watercolor you have to be like the way I will do it for my bigger paintings, you have to be really precise and like, which is fun, but it gets a little old sometimes. Yeah. So I would say right now, if I were to pick up anything right now, it would be acrylic, but I'm also just kind of experimenting with it.
Ever do any like mixed media or?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I used to. I had a friend in high school that did collages, and I did that for a while with her. But
some scrapbooking? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, okay, it was scrapbooking. No, we would like cut out like weird stuff out of magazines and like paste them together. But yeah, I want to like, I've been looking at some different artists, and like I've been getting into fiber art actually recently. Like I've been doing knitting. I think it'd be cool to figure out a way to kind of combine that with some two-dimensional illustration kind of stuff. I don't know how, but
yeah, no, I have been kind of looking, not buying anything yet for it, because I know it's another project on the list, but felting, like,
yeah. Yeah, that's
late to the bandwagon. I know a lot of people are already doing it, but
I have some that I got a long time ago during a historical wave of hype of needle felting. And I took my dogs, I brushed my dogs, and I got their fur, and I made
you have an unlimited source.
I made sure they were clean. It was after their bath, and I brushed them out, and I got their undercoat, and I needle felted a little head of my dog Kenny. Aww. And I think I have it somewhere. I don't know where it is, but
yeah, I have a Chewbacca that somebody felted.
Oh, that's awesome. Then, that's perfect for felting.
It is. And then I've been seeing online a lot of people like doing like super realistic cats.
Oh yeah, I've seen
and it's just
ones like that.
I mean, even drawing to that detail is amazing, but then actual like felting with the fur and stuff like that is a whole nother level.
Goodness. And like making it look so smooth, like they make it look easy, but when you try it, like you get one stray hair in there and it looks all fuzzy, and like your details are all messed up, and yeah, it's a lot harder than it looks.
All right, well, we'll throw that on the back burner then. We won't worry about felting anytime soon. What upcoming projects do you have?
I wrote that down. I have a lot of things I always want to do, and it can be very overwhelming to myself, and I torture myself, but it's also exciting, and it's like it gives me a lot of drive. But it's a constant like battle between like I have all these ideas, but like I need to focus on one, but I can't decide which one. But okay, I'll decide. Okay, I'll focus on this one. I don't know, but there's these other ones. I have the same problem when I pick a movie on Netflix to watch. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. I'm not going to think about anything else. And then halfway through the movie, I'm like, I should have started this other movie that I wanted to watch. And it's so bad.
I do that
like
quite
my
a
whole
bit
life.
with anime series. I'll like,
Oh,
be,
yeah.
like 2 episodes in, and then the next day, like go to a completely different something else somewhere else. And
that's
like,
even more of a commitment.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, I'm in this for a long time.
Well, sadly, a lot of them now don't go too much further than 12 episodes. So you can,
Oh, really?
it's like British TV almost. You can pretty much, if you're really bored one day, watch a whole season of something.
Okay, that's not so bad.
No, you kind of wish some stuff would continue on, but it's like anything. The money for some of that stuff just isn't there.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
It'll be interesting to see what, as far as movies and everything, happens with this next year, as far as what stuff has been able to still do production and
more animated films.
Yeah, hopefully.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I didn't hear it from an official source, but a friend said that they had heard that there are going to be more animated films and in the coming years because of quarantine, because awesome. You can do everything from home pretty much. You don't need actors.
It's true.
Voice actors.
Yeah, you need voice actors.
Yeah, but they can work from home too.
Yeah, hopefully there's not like a whole nother slew of remade Disney movies. Not that those were all terrible, but they just haven't been anywhere near up to par from the originals.
Yeah, I liked the Jungle Book remake because they made it super different, but the musicals
and Christopher Walken, come on, as King Louis.
Oh yeah, super good. But they need to stop making them musicals.
Yeah,
too. Like the Aladdin songs were so sad. I don't know.
I don't know whether they just couldn't. Maybe the actors couldn't pull off the original songs. I don't know, or they didn't have licensing. Well, they had to have licensing for them because they're from the same company.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think they must have been like, okay, we're gonna do it different,
right?
But at the same time, like not having the characters be animated and not having it like not taking it over the top, because like when they do the songs on Broadway, you're supposed to be over the top, like overacting crazy, and like that's the same with cartoons. But then you do it live action, and they're supposed to be kind of like, oh, we're taking this a little seriously. I think that kills
it. A cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, because I mean, as far as I don't know how big you were into the Marvel movies and stuff. All those are kind of, on pseudo hold. Star Wars, who knows what's going on with Star Wars in the next couple of years. At
least we got our second season of Mandalorian before it happened.
Yeah, I was pretty geeked for that, waiting for that. I appreciate the Baby Yoda, but I'm kind of done with the Baby Yoda also.
Yeah, it's been memed to death.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
It's funny too, being a Star Wars fan, everybody sends me anything that's somewhat Star Wars related. So I get all these like stuff sent to me on top of, I already have most of the stuff in my feeds anyways, so I'm already getting it. So I'm getting like 6 versions of every single, oh, look, it's Baby Yoda. You should love this, Jeremy.
Oh no, you're stuck forever.
Yeah. Well, it was all Animal Crossing for a while, but we're kind of moved on. Have your villagers even seen your face in the last month?
Oh, I played yesterday. I play at the beginning of every month to get my new fish and bugs and see what's going on. You're a fish and bug
person.
Yeah, well, I want to get 100% fish, but I've stopped being the obsessive, like, stand with bait out at the end of the... Yeah. I was literally just thinking of... Yeah. Not anymore.
Yeah. And the whole art scene is just, ridiculous in Animal Crossing.
Oh, I know.
Trying to get the artwork.
I have like 3 and I'm like, I'm never going to get the rest of them. It's been like 3 months.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. It'll be interesting to see what we can actually do this next year, as far as between cons or conventions, or even, I don't know, meeting up and hanging out stuff, because we do have some mutual friends. So that'd be kind of a cool thing eventually, I guess we'll be able to do.
Yeah, I know. One day we might be in plastic bubbles, but
that's maybe that is like the next thing. Like maybe we'll just start selling plastic, like HVAC suits, that you can just kind of walk around in. Just it'll be good for the winter.
You're fine. I mean, we're already used to masks. That's just the next progression.
Well, you'll just have to do a lot of like underwater diver costumes for the next con, because everybody will have that same
right? Or like
everybody be diver.
Or like everybody be Mandalorians, or
there you go. You got a mask built in.
Yeah, exactly. Or whatever
or
other
large Wookiees. We could actually buy that. I could buy that $300 Wookiee costume I've been looking at every single year. They've come down in price, and the sad thing is I don't know how they are height wise, because I have a I'm 6'6", but I also have a large torso, so lots of things don't fit me properly that region. So I have my belly showing on a Wookiee. That's no good.
Maybe you can get them to send you a little extra fur and get it tailored.
I can sew it in.
Next stimulus check.
Well, then a lot of those costumes are built for the countries they're built in.
Like Japan or
right, exactly.
China.
So depending on where they come from, sizing is not necessarily Aryan poster child, German, Dutch, British sizing.
Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of people over 6 foot in those countries.
No. I was surprised, though, actually, both Korea and China, how many taller people there were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Not so much Japan. Japan is still, I mean, they're, but both China and Korea both had quite a few tall people.
Huh. When did you go there?
Well, last year I went to Philippines and Japan and China, actually. Actually, last year was a trifecta.
Nice.
I was there in the Philippines for a convention. And then afterwards, I went to China and lost my passport and was stuck there for an extra week and a half.
Oh my goodness! Oh, good. That's that's the last thing you want to happen.
But the nice thing is, I was in a city. I was in Shanghai, and I went to Disney, and which is what you do when you're stuck without a passport.
Yeah.
But it also was an actual city, so I didn't have to worry about being able to get anywhere, and I had my cell phone still.
Oh yeah,
so I could get through, some things, but it did take a little time.
Yeah, you had to go to like American Embassy and get that all sorted out. Oh man.
Yeah. A lot of where you expect things would be in the same building, we're in 6 other buildings.
Oh,
so you'd be.
Oh man, I thought it was bad here.
Yeah. Well, I'll be following, what I can of what you can do, because obviously you're limited the same way the whole rest of the world is right now. That's really, I mean, we've gone all over the place.
I know. That's how my podcasts usually go. And I have a guest. Craziness.
Well, this has been fun, and we'll hang out some more sometime.
Yes.
Thanks for watching Test Plug.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been really fun.